So let's start. So today we're going to talk about future forms, and also we will review some most commonly used adjectives. And yes, and at the end of our webinar, we will look at some writing tasks. Specifically today, we're going to talk about an informal letter. So, you know, guys, I wanted to ask you, how are you today, and whether you are ready for your Easter holidays. Maybe you have any plans? Like, you can text me to the chat. Do you have any plans for these holidays? Any plans for Easter holidays? It will be very soon, in 1 week. So maybe you have any plans. Text me. Okay, I see no. Maybe someone. Okay, I see. A lot of plans, a lot of good plans. That's right. Some of you. Somebody doesn't have any plans. Okay. So actually, I wanted to tell about me, yes? You know, I'm really ready that Easter holidays are coming because I'm going to have a vacation very soon. And my dream is to go to the Black Sea. And maybe I will visit Odessa. You know that it's located in the south of Ukraine, and it's really warm there already. So I think I will need some summer clothes, yes? By the way, my colleagues live there, and you know, I've just texted them and they are picking me up at the airport, yes? And I'm booking a ticket. Look, it's done. So the plane for Odessa leaves at 4 p.m. and I have already received a confirmation, and I'm going to tell my colleagues about that. And my dear friends, I promise I'll bring you some presents. So let's look at my story, and let's look what structures, what grammar structures I have just used in order to tell you about my plans, about my future, yes? So let's look at sentence number 1. What structure is that? So it says, I'm going to have a vacation soon. Okay, what structure is that? That's right, going to. Let's look at sentence number 2. What structure is that? Maybe I'll visit Odessa. What is that? How do we call it? Yeah, surely we use will, but we call it future simple. That's right. Okay, number 3. So I think I'll need some summer clothes. What structure is that? That is also future simple. That's right. You are completely right. Okay, number 4. They are picking me up at the airport. What is that? What grammar structure is that? They are picking me up at the airport. That's right. That is present continuous. Very good. Number 5. The plane for Odessa leaves at 4 p.m. What is that? What tense is that? The plane for Odessa leaves at 4 p.m. Present simple, you're completely right. Okay, number 6. I'm going to tell my colleagues about that. What is that? I'm going to tell my colleagues about that. That is to be going to. Yes, that is the grammar structure, to be going to. Fine. And number 7, I promise I'll bring some presents. The last one, that is also future simple. So basically, I used present tenses like present simple and present continuous, and I also used future simple and to be going to tell you about the future, right? But let's look precisely in what cases we need to use these grammar structures. So we can use the present continuous to talk about future arrangements, especially when they involve another person or another time or another place. For example, I'm driving to the countryside this weekend. So we're talking about the future in this example, but we use the present continuous, right? We use the present tense to talk about the future. At the same time, we can also use the present simple when we talk about timetables or schedules. For example, the plane lands at 3 o'clock. Again, we are talking about the future. Yes, it will be in the future, but we are using the present simple because we are talking about timetables and schedules. Great. So I suggest that we look at these sentences and let's try to correct the mistakes. So in all these sentences, we're talking about the future. Can you see that? Yes? I hope you can. But there are some mistakes. So let's try to correct them. And let's go to sentence number 1. What time is his plane land? Where is the mistake? Put me the correct answer to the chat. That's right, does. What time does his plane land? Because that is what? That is present simple, yes? Present simple for timetables or schedules. Great, number 2, I visit my grandmother next weekend. Is there a mistake or not? I visit my grandmother next weekend. I'm visiting, that's right. So that is present continuous, right? Present continuous that we use to talk about future arrangements. You see that we actually here have another person like my grandmother. Yeah, it might be to be going to if it's your intention, yes? But in this example, we are talking about like present tenses. We have an alternative, either present continuous or present simple, yes? We will look at to be going to a bit later. Okay, let's go to number 3. The match starts at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Is there a mistake or not? Remember that we are talking about present tenses for future. The match starts at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's right, that is completely correct. Okay, number 4, I meet my brother for lunch later this evening. What about this one? I'm meeting, that's right. Why? Because we are talking about some future arrangements with another person, like my brother. And number 5, she's attending a conference tomorrow. Is this one correct or not? She's attending a conference tomorrow. She's attending a conference tomorrow. What we are talking about? Are we talking about future arrangements? What do you think in this example? Has she arranged this like event? Yes, this plan for her. Yes, we're talking about some future arrangements that probably include some other people, yes, some other place for this conference. So that's why we need to use what? We need to use present continuous. That's why this sentence is completely correct, yes? Okay, if you have any mistakes, you can text me to the chat. Let's go next. Also, surely we have future simple and be going to, but what's the difference between them, yes? So we use the future simple for spontaneous decisions, like something that you have decided just now at this very moment. For example, don't worry, I'll drive you to the doctor's. So previously, you didn't plan to do that, but now it's your spontaneous decision and you say, I'll drive you to the doctor. So that's about spontaneous decisions. Also, we can use future simple for predictions, but those predictions that are based on our own opinion. For example, I'm sure Jane will enjoy the performance. Yeah, you see this I'm sure, which like says that it's our own opinion. Yes, that's only our opinion that Jane will enjoy the performance. Yes, we don't have any evidence, that's just our opinion. In this case, we need to use future simple. And also we use future simple for promises, fears, or threats. For example, I promise I'll bring you some presents. By the way, what is that? I promise I'll bring you some presents. Is it a promise, a fear, or a threat? What is that? I promise I'll bring you some presents. What is that? Promise, that's why so. That's I promise, yes. I promise I'll bring you some presents. Great. At the same time, we can use to be going to for our own plans or intentions or dreams. For example, I'm going to have a vacation soon. So is it a spontaneous decision or not? I'm going to have a vacation soon. No, it's not a spontaneous decision. That's something that I have been planning for some time. Yes, that's my plan. So that's why we need to use to be going to. And we can also use be going to for the predictions as well, but the predictions that are based on some facts or evidence that we can prove. For example, look at the clouds, it's going to rain. Yes, so we have some evidence, we have these clouds, maybe big gray clouds. That's why we need to use be going to. Yes, it's going to rain. Okay, let's look at these two sentences and let's try to find out which sentence is correct and which sentence is wrong. What do you think? A, I'm going to go to the cinema, and B, I'm going to the cinema. Maybe both are correct. A or B, which one is correct? A. Actually, yeah, you may also say I'm going to go to the cinema, but with the verbs go and come, you can omit this go to and use just present continuous, not to be going to. For example, I'm going to the cinema, I'm going to the theater or whatever, not to repeat this go to. So it's also a common form. But you can also say like variant A, if you want to emphasize that is actually your intention. Yes, if you want to emphasize that you have such an intention, surely you can use A, but it's not very commonly used. Yes, more common, and maybe it's more correct to say I'm going to the cinema. Okay, and what about these two sentences? I don't think he'll go to the party, or I think he won't go to the party. Okay, by the way, is the meaning of these two sentences the same or not? What do you think? Do these sentences mean something the same? Yes, this meaning is completely the same. The message is the same. But which sentence is grammatically correct, A or B? B correct. Okay, A, B, B. That's right, you're completely right. So B is not correct. Yes, A is correct. I see a lot of answers A. That's right. So if you want to have to make a negative prediction, yes, like if you're sure that something will not happen, you need to make the think negative, but not the will. For example, I don't think it will rain tonight. Yes, you cannot say, I think it won't rain tonight. So please just mind that negation should be with think, not with the will. Yeah, for example, I don't think he will go to the party, but not I think he won't go to the party. I hope you see this difference. You can give me any other example with this negative prediction. Let's try to make a negative prediction. Make your own prediction, but a negative one. What do you think about the rain? Do you think it will rain tonight, or maybe it will snow tonight? No? Okay, I see your answer. That's right. I don't think it will snow tonight or today. Great. Let's look at the form of these future forms. Yeah, I don't think the weather will be good today. I think it will rain tonight. I don't think. That's right. Your answers are completely correct. Okay, let's look at the formation of these future forms. So we basically talked about present continuous, yes, nothing changes. So everything the same as you form like present continuous for something that is happening at this very moment. You need auxiliary verbs am, is, are, and the ing ending. With to be going to, you also need auxiliary verbs am, is, are, yes, plus going to. And it doesn't change, so you just make negative or a question what you need. With future simple, you need to use the auxiliary verb will, yes, and it also doesn't change. So in order to make up a positive sentence, you just put it before the main verb. For example, she will pass this exam. To make up a negative form, you can say will not, or you can use a contraction, won't. For example, they won't join us tonight. To make up a question, you need to put the auxiliary verb at the very beginning. Will he call later? Present simple, it's the same. If you have the third person singular, you just need to remember about this s that you need to add to the main verb. For example, the train leaves at 3 p.m. And also we have two auxiliary verbs, don't and doesn't for negatives, and do and does for questions. What is more important about these structures? These are like these time markers, signal words that will help you to find out what grammar structure you need to use or you need to choose. For example, if you're talking about your exam, pay attention to the time markers for to be going to and future simple. At the very last point, for example, if we talk about be going to, you have look. Yes, look might be a very good marker, very good signal, I would say, because it shows you, shows you some evidence, some facts. Yes, look at the clouds or whatever, and then you need to use be going to. While on the contrary, if you look at the future simple time markers, you can see I think, I'm sure, I believe, I promise. All these markers express your own opinion. Yes, so they can help you. If after these words you need to choose either be going to or future simple, surely you need to choose future simple because it's based on your own opinion. So if there are no questions here, let's go next. Let's go to some practice. So let's try to make predictions based on these photos. So let's look at picture number 1 and let's try to make up a prediction. So we have he feeds the cat. Remember that we can make a prediction by using be going to or future simple. What do you think? What should be here? Put your answers to the chat. And mostly your answers are correct. He's going to feed the cat. Why? Because we see some evidence, yes? The man is like cooking, maybe he's preparing some meal for his cat. That's why he is going to feed the cat. We have some evidence. Great. Number 2, I think kids like this kitty. What do you think about number 2? Surely that is will. I think kids will like this kitty. Why? Because that is a prediction that is based on our own opinion. We even have I think. Great. Great. All answers are correct. Good job. Number 3, we believe she enters the university. And that is completely the same as number 2. Why? Because we have belief. Yes, it's something that is based on our own beliefs or opinions. Okay, number 4, they be late. Okay, so should we put here are going to be late or will be late? They are going, that's right. Why? Because if you look precisely at the picture, you see there is a huge traffic jam. There are a lot of cars. So that is actually the evidence, yes? And we can make some more specific predictions that they're going to be late. Great, number 5. What do you think about number 5? The boxer on the left lose. And that's the same as example number 4. Yes, we see some evidence that, for example, this sportsman on the left, yes, he's losing the game or the match or whatever. Yes, so that is some evidence. And number 6, I hope Belarus win. I hope. If we have I hope, then we need to use future simple, not be going to. Great. I hope that's now clear to you, yes? So what's the difference between this future simple and be going to for predictions? If you have any questions, you can put those questions to the chat. If no, then let's move next. Okay. Great. Let me check your answers. You're completely right. Fine. Let's look at this picture and let's try to fill in the gaps. That's a new challenge for you. So what do you think? What can we put into these gaps? By the end of the day, I gap all my work. And this time tomorrow, I gap on a plane to Italy. It may be any construction, any that you think might fit it. Okay, I see some very nice answers. By the end of the day. So it means before some time in the future. Plus a D. So I will have finished all my work. Yes, by the end of the day, I will have finished all my work. And at this time tomorrow, I will be sitting on a plane to Italy. Great. I see the question in the chat. If you don't have a time marker in a sentence, then you should surely rely on the context. So remember that you should read the sentence before it and after it, if you talk about the use of English task, yes? So the context will surely help you. From the context, it will be clear whether you have like tomorrow and you need to use like future continuous even, yeah, or it might be only be going to, yes, if there are some precise plans. Okay, so what structures are that? What do we call them? Will have finished and will be sitting. Future perfect and future continuous. That's right. So we use future continuous for actions that will be in progress at a specific time in the future. Yes. For example, think and tell yourself what will you be doing at this time tomorrow. Yes. For example, I will be working at this time tomorrow. And we have another example. This time tomorrow, I will be flying to Rome. Yes. So if you have some specific time in the future and some actions will be in the progress at that time. We can also use future continuous for some already, like for some actions that have already been planned or are a part of a routine. For example, the president will be visiting Egypt next month. Probably you can hear these examples in the news, yes? When you're listening to the news, you probably can hear these examples because we can use future continuous for some, again, plans, for some planned like visits or meetings or conferences. And number 3, we can also use future continuous for a polite request, especially when you're asking about somebody's plans and if you want to ask for a favor. For example, will you be using your computer tomorrow? Like, it sounds very polite if you use this structure for such questions. On the contrary, yes, not contrary, but at the same time, we use the present, the future perfect for actions which will have been completed before a specific point of time in the future. So here we have the progress, and here we have some completed actions. Yes, for example, by dinner time, I will have written all the letters. So that is a completed action in the past, in the future. By dinner time. And also we can use future perfect for actions which will have been completed before another action in the future. For example, I guess John will have stopped working by the time we arrive. So before that time, yes? Pay attention that the verb that describes the second action is in the present simple, like we arrive. Okay? So let me show you 2 sentences and let's find out which sentence is correct and which sentence is wrong. What do you think about number 1? A, I'll be owning 3 cars in 2 years from tomorrow and I'll own 3 cars in 2 years from now. What do you think about this? Which one is wrong and which one is correct? You can write A correct, B wrong, or vice versa. What do you think? Maybe they both are correct. B is correct. That's right. B is correct. Why? Do you have any ideas why B is correct but A is not correct? What do you think? Why isn't A correct? Why is it so? Why should we say I'll own 3 cars in 2 years from now? Own cannot be used in the continuous. That's right. So remember that we can use only simple tenses with the state verbs like love, dislike, know, believe, have. Yes, for example, I'll have 3 children in 10 years. We cannot use continuous. We cannot use future continuous. We cannot use present continuous. We cannot use past continuous with state verbs. Great. And what about these 2 sentences? Which one is correct? I'll be traveling around Asia when I'm 40, or I'll be traveling around Asia when I'll be 40. What do you think? Which one is correct? That's right. A is correct. Why is it correct? Because we have what? Because we have when. Yes, remember that even if you're talking about the future, but you have by the time, when, before. Yes, we don't use future simple, we use present simple. For example, I will have finished the presentation by the time the meeting starts. So even if you combine 2 actions with future perfect, yes, the second action after when or by the time or before should be in the present simple. Okay, great. So let's look at the formation of these 2 structures. Actually, nothing special here. You can look it by yourself, at it by yourself. I see the question in the chat. Yeah, but if you have 2 years from now, after that you use surely like future continuous. Yes, if you're talking about some action that will be in the progress. Yes, but when you have the second action and before that second action, you have like when, by the time, or whenever. Yes, after for this second action you need to use present simple, not future continuous or future perfect. That's, we are talking about the second action. Okay, so let's look at the formation of these 2 structures. For future perfect, as you have maybe noticed, yes, already, we need to use will plus have, the auxiliary verbs, yes, and then the past participle of the main verb. And for future continuous, you need to use auxiliary verbs will plus be and plus the main verb with the ing ending. And you don't change it, like you use it for all, for I, you, we, they, for all persons. Okay, great. I suggest that we do some task, yeah, so that you see the difference between these structures. For example, number 1, I can't come with you. I gap for my exams all day tomorrow. So we have the time marker all day tomorrow, which actually emphasizes that it will be a continuous action. Yes, you see the emphasis here is on the duration. That's why we need to use I will be preparing, future continuous. Okay, let's go to number 2. I hope they get cure for cancer by the time we get older. By the time we get older. So before the time when we get older, they will have found. Yes, because we have by the time, before the time we get older. So as you may see, by the time, and then we have the second action. Yes, we get older. So this second action should be in present simple. Okay, let's go next. We get all the emails by the end of the day. Okay, again, we have by the end of the day. So we will have done something, yes, before some time in the future. That's why we need to use what? Will have answered. Great. Number 4, in 50 years from now, we in much smaller houses. What do you think about this one? We will be living, yes? So again, if you want to emphasize, that will be a duration, yes? So that will be something that will be happening this time in future. You can use future continuous. Okay, number 5. She says she gap around the world when she's in her 60s. She says she will be traveling around the world when she is in her 60s. Again, we have the second action, when she is in her 60s. Yes, and that is what? That is present simple. You see? Traveling, so traveling, we put double L if it is a British English, and we put one L if it's American. Okay, number 6. Let's hope they gap the house by the time we get home. They will have cleaned, yes? So we need to emphasize that something will have been done, yes, before that. Great. Number 7, you gap when he calls. So I can take a message if you want. Okay. Look at the meaning of the sentence, yes? So somebody will take a message. Why? Because you will have left. So by the time when he calls, yes, you will have left. That's right. That's completely correct. And number 8, quite tricky, but anyway, people gap more flying means of transport in 2070. What do you think about this one? Let me show you the correct answer. That is, will have. Again, we're talking about some specific time in the future, but we cannot use future continuous in this example. Why? Because have is what? To have is a state verb. Yes, to have means to own. So that denotes possession. Yes, and we cannot use it in continuous tenses. Great. Okay. Let's go, and I suggest that we do some use of English tasks, yes, with these future forms, so you see the difference between all these grammar structures. So before that, let me remind you that in your use of English section, you will have 2 tasks, task 8 and task 9. Task 8 will be devoted to vocabulary, and task 9 will be devoted to grammar, but they will look the same. Your task will be to fill in the gap by choosing the correct option. You will have 4 options for each gap, and your task will be to fill in these gaps. So what are the tips for doing these types of tasks? Surely it's a good idea to skim through the text to find out its main idea, because sometimes, remember, you cannot rely on time markers only. You should rely on the context. Yes, the context may help you a lot. Of course, you should choose one option out of the 4 suggested according to the grammar or according to the meaning. If you're not sure about the meaning, again, context will help you. If you're not sure about the grammar, again, if you look at the words that precede the gap and that follow the gap, that will help you a lot, actually. Pay attention to the words, text before and after the gap. If you have any doubts, you can leave the question and come back to it later. And when you are completely done, don't forget to reread the text to make sure that it has sense, yes? Because like grammar and vocabulary bring some sense to the text. So let's look at this task. The task is to fill in the gaps by choosing the correct options. So skim the text, read through the text very quickly. It will help you. Let me give you 10 seconds to do that. And then we will start checking. Let me give you 5 more seconds. Look through the text. So let's start checking. I see the first answer, so let's start. I'm just writing to tell you that I gap away tomorrow on a school trip to Wales. What can we put here? A lot of answers. So that is B. I'm going away on a school trip to Wales. What do you think? What by the way, what grammar structure is that? I'm going away tomorrow on a school trip. What is that? Present continuous. Yes, remember that we don't usually say I'm going to go. We usually omit to go. Yes, so that is I'm going away. So that is her plan actually. Yes, so that is something that she is. I'm going away. Yes, to go away means to leave to another place. Yes, to go to another place. Let's go next. I'm very excited about it. We gap at 7:30 a.m. and we come back on Wednesday at 10:30 p.m. So what do you think about number 2? We have will have left, will left, will leave, or leave. If you look at variant A and B, you see that like they do not suit our context, right? Like will have left, we don't have by the time. Yes, we would have by 3, but here we have at 7:30. That is by leave. That is D. Why is that is D? One moment. Is it a kind of a timetable? So the girl is going on a trip, yes? And surely they have some timetable, yes? The schedule, yes? When children have all their activities, yes, with some specific time, with some specific timing, I would say yes. So that is a type of a schedule, of a timetable. Yes. So and here, like that is a good example when we need to use present simple for the future. Okay. Let's go to number 3. We are going to be camping at a big outdoor activity center in big tents. I gap a tent with Ella, Mel, Samira, Lucy, and Amy. And they all love to talk. What do you think about number 3? I. And that is C. I see the correct answer. Why is it C? Is it a kind of arrangement that involves other people like Ella, Mel, Samira, Lucy? Can you see that? Yes. That is an arrangement. That is not just her intention, yes, but some arrangements were done before, yes. So that is C, that is I'm sharing. Okay, let's go to number 4. Let's read their previous sentence. And they all love to talk. We gap every night until 4 or 5, I'm sure. So what do you think about number 4? We gap every night until 4 or 5, I'm sure. And we have will be talking, will have talked, are going, are talking. Look, are going does not like suit the context because we need going to do something, yes? So C is not correct. We have are talking, will have talked, or will be talking. And surely that is A. Yes. Why? The girl emphasizes the duration, that will be every night until 4 or 5. Yes. So that will be a continuous action, like at specific time. Okay. Let's go next. We'll be talking. That's right. Number 5. I don't think anyone gap much sleep. This should be very easy for you. Okay. That's right. B. Will get. Why? Because we have our own opinion. I don't think. And pay attention where the negation goes. Yes, I don't think anyone will get. You see, the negation is with this think word. Okay, let's go to number 6. At the activity center, there are lots of things you can do, and I, gap, try surfing. What about number 6? And I will be, am, or am going to. And that is surely about your intentions. Yes, I'm going to try surfing, nothing else. Okay, let's go to number 7. Again, it should be very easy for you. I think it, gap, lots of fun. We have this think. If we have think, then surely we need to use future simple. That is see. That is will be lots of fun. And the last one, by the time I next see you, I, gap, how to surf. What about this time? We have by the time I see you. By the time, then we have present simple. Yes, I see you. And I see a lot of correct answers. A, I will have learned how to surf. I hope you see this example when future perfect is necessary. Yes, when it is required. By the time I see you, I will have learned. Okay, any questions regarding this task? So you see that context sometimes may help you a lot. So if you're not sure, look at the sentence before, even if it doesn't contain any gaps. Some of the previous sentence and the following sentence, they may help you really a lot. Okay, let's go next. Any questions here? No? Okay, then we can go next. Okay, so I had a question I asked you at the very beginning of our webinar. How do you feel today? Okay, so just text me to the chat how you feel today. Excited, okay. Super. Bored, okay. A bit tired, I see. Happy, can be better. Frustrated, well, fine. That's nice. Okay, what part of speech are all your answers? Like tired, bored, perfect, good, sad. What part of speech is that? That's right. These are adjectives. Yes, but there are different types of adjectives. Let's talk about them. So let's look at this very first picture and let's answer this question. How does David feel? What do you think about David? How does he feel? Oh, happy birthday to you. I see one of our participants has birthday. Happy birthday to you. Okay, so we agreed that David is excited. Okay, the next question. Why does he feel excited? What do you think about picture number 2? Why does he feel excited? Okay. Okay, happy birthday to this participant from all other participants. Okay, what about David? David is excited because the roller coaster is exciting. So as you may see, excited and exciting are both adjectives. But the difference is that we use the ed adjectives to talk about our feelings, yes, to describe how we feel or someone feels. While we use the ing adjectives to describe a thing or a situation. Yes, so we cannot say the roller coaster is excited, yes, because we use ed adjectives to talk about feelings, yes, about people. Great. So in other words, yes, if we sum up it, something, ing, makes you feel ed, yes, so that is a very short quotation that you may remember. Let's go to the practice. Let's look at sentence number 1. For example, I've just read a very amusing or amused book. What do we need to put here? That's right, amusing. Why? Because we are describing what? We are describing a book. Great. Number 2, I couldn't find the way to your house because your map was very confused or confusing. Okay, are we describing a map or are we describing our feelings? We are describing a map. That's why that is confusing. Great. Number 3. I was amazed or amazing that your daughter did so well in her exam. And they're truly amazed. Why? Because we are talking about our own feelings. Great. Number 4 is a tricky one. Please go away. You are very annoyed or annoying. Remember, something ing makes you ed. In this example, that is annoying. We are talking about a person, but that's something ing that makes us ed, yes? Okay, that's great. Number 5, I was shocked or shocking when I saw the bill. It was $54. I was shocked, surely shocked, because again, we are talking about our own feelings. Number 6, are you interested or interesting in politics? Are we talking about politics or are we talking about our own feelings? We are talking about our own feelings, that is interested. Great. Number 7, I was very embarrassed or embarrassing because I didn't understand Spanish. Surely that is ed. We are talking about our feelings. And number 8, the walk to the top of the hill was exhausted or exhausting. ing. That's right, because we are talking about the walk, not about our feelings. Number 4, please go away. You are very annoying or annoyed. Look, guys, we can use, I see the question in the chat. So we actually can use ing to describe people, yes, but we cannot use ed to describe things. So in order to describe people, we can use either ed or ing. It all depends on the context, yes? So this person is annoying. That's why I am annoyed. Yes, that's my own feelings. But if we talk about ed ending, we can use them only to describe our own feelings. We cannot use ed to describe a thing or a situation. So, for example, we cannot say that the film was amazed. Yes, the film was amazing. That's why I was amazed. Okay. Any questions? Okay, could you please specify your question in the chat and I will answer it. Okay, let's go to the next pictures. I have more photos for you. What about Jack? How does Jack feel? What do you think? That's why happy. But then something went wrong. And what about now? How does he feel now? How can we say it? How can we describe this picture? What do you think about this? We can say disappointed, we can say upset, cruel, angry, but can we change something in the adjective happy to describe the last picture? What do you think? That's right, we can add prefix, yes? So remember that we have some prefixes that we can add to adjectives in order to change their meanings. So if you want to change the meaning of adjectives and make them negative, we can add these prefixes: on, in, il, ir, im, and this, yes? So, and actually there is no absolute rule of which prefixes you should use, but anyway, there is one rule that you need to remember. So don't use in before b, l, m, p, or r. Instead, use il, im, and ir. So for example, let's look at these sentences, at these adjectives, and let's try to choose the correct ones. Okay, let me check your answers and let's go to number 1. It is very unwise or unwise to invest money into that business nowadays. Surely that is unwise and you need just to remember it, yes? What about number 2? You have to accept that most relationships are imperfect or perfect. Imperfect. You see that perfect starts with P, and we know that if the word starts with P, B, or M, we can add im, yes, and it will be correct. We cannot add on or in or whatever. Okay, number 3, In order to do this job well, you have to be very organized or disorganized. Organized, yes. Disorganized, we have this prefix dis. Remember that it adds some negative meaning to the adjective. Number 4, the information you gave us was incorrect or incorrect. What about this word? Surely that's incorrect. And that's something that we just need to remember. Okay, number 5, darling, it's unpolite or impolite to interrupt. Polite starts with P, and we know that if the word starts with P, we can add im, impolite. So we add im to the word starting with P, B, and M. Okay, number 6, I have always been perfectly healthy or unhealthy until now. So we need a positive adjective here. So what is that? Healthy or unhealthy? Surely that is healthy. Number 7, she was patient or impatient and angry. We need a negative adjective here, that is impatient. Great. Number 8, the noise made sleep impossible or impossible. That's very easy, impossible, because it starts with P. Number 9, it's logical or illogical to assume you can do the work of 3 people. Yeah, sure, I will do that now. Illogical, because logical starts with L. That's why it will be illogical. Yes, no other prefix will suit it. And number 10, we receive all the relevant or irrelevant information. Relevant, because irrelevant has already a negative meaning. Yeah, so you see relevant start with R. That's why we need to add prefix ER. Irrelevant, yeah? Great. So take a picture if you want, and we will move next. Ready? Then let's go. And what about these pictures? I will show you a lot of pictures today. How does she feel? She is probably happy. And what about picture number 2? What about picture number 2? They're all happy. Let's talk about the degree of their happiness. Double happy, I like this variant. Okay, should it be more happy or happier? And the last one, what about this boy? He's surely the happiest, yeah? So as you may see, we're going to talk about the degrees of comparison. Remember, if you have one syllable adjectives or adjectives that end in Y, ER, LE, or OW, we need to add what? ER or EST to form comparative and superlative degree. But if you have where adjectives that have more than one syllable, you need to add more. I see. We need to add more or the most in order to form comparative and superlative degree. So actually, I hope you remember all that, and that is not very difficult. I'm not sure that in your exam you will be tested regarding this. Maybe you will use these comparatives in your letter, so please just be careful. Yes, remember that if you have a long adjective, then you need to add more, the most, and if you have short adjectives or adjectives that end in Y, OW, RE, or ELE or Y, you need to add ER or EST, yes? But let's look at these examples. A or B, which one is correct? It was the baddest trip in my life, or it was the better trip in my life? Are there any correct answers? Maybe they both are not correct. What do you think? Maybe there is no correct sentence. Can we say it was the baddest trip in my life? Can we say the better? No, we cannot, yes? We cannot actually say the baddest, because we know what? That bad and some other adjectives are irregular, and they have irregular forms of comparative and superlative degree, yes? And B is also not correct. Why B is not correct? It was the better trip in my life. Better is actually the comparative degree. Yes, and we can use comparative in order to compare. Yes, not to take the better trip in my life. So look at this table and remember that good, bad, old, far, many, much, and little have irregular forms of comparative and superlative degrees. Pay attention to far, farther, further. Yes, they are synonyms, and old, older, elder. And the same for superlatives. The farthest, the furthest, the oldest, the eldest. Okay, and what about these two sentences? I see your answer. That's cool that you know it. What about the second example? Quiet, quieter, the quietest, quiet, more quiet, the most quiet. Maybe again, both are incorrect. What do you think? Or maybe both are correct. Actually, both are correct because there are some adjectives that have two possible forms of comparison. So they can be used either with the endings er, est, or they can be used with the words more and the most. Yeah, so you can just remember, if you're not sure about these words, you can use either that variant or another. So both variants are correct. Okay, so let's practice. Let's find the mistakes. Let's correct the mistakes in these examples. Let's look at number 1. My brother is older than me. What about this one? Let's correct the mistake. My brother is older than me. That's right, older. Why? You're completely correct. You cannot say elder than me, because we can use only elder, eldest to describe family relationships. So elder is never followed by than. So if you want to compare, you need to use only older. Yes, so someone is older than you or whatever. But if you want to talk about your family, surely you can use elder, my elder brother. Great. Number 2, there are no further details available yet. That's right, I'm the eldest. Yes, if you talk about your family, not comparing, then eldest is correct. The main point, never use than after older, after elder, sorry. Okay, number 2, there are no further details available yet. Yes, further, but we know that further and further might be synonyms, yes? So why can we not say farther? Let's take a look. So we can use farther and farthest only for distance, but we can use further and furthest not only for distance, but with the meaning more, most. For example, we can say today we walked farther or further than we did yesterday, but we talk about more details. Surely we can use only further, not farther. That's right. So further have more meanings than farther. Farther only for distance. Yeah, farther and farthest. Okay, number 3, there is a tiny mistake there. What is that? It's not correct. That's right, then. Remember the spelling. Yes, because sometimes we confuse it. Okay, number 4, Pablo Picasso was among the most important artists in the 20th century. Where is the mistake here? Can you see the mistake? Actually, the task is to correct the mistake, so each sentence contains a mistake, but where is it? One of the most, well, we can say was among. It's possible to say among the most important. The problem is the verb preposition. So is the preposition correct in this sentence or not? In the 20th century. On, off, okay. I see the correct answer, that is off. So if you're talking about someone and you want to say that he or she is the best in some place, you say in some place. But if you want to say that he or she was the best like during some period of time, you should say of. For example, Pablo Picasso was the best artist of the 20th century. But if you want to say that he was the best in some, for example, in Europe, you can say in Europe. So he was the best in Europe, but he was the best artist of the 20th century. So place in, time of. Okay, that's right. Of is correct. Number 5 and number 6, they are connected. What is wrong with these two sentences? That's right. I see the correct answer. So we need to do what with these two sentences? We need to exchange far and very. So in number 5, we can say very annoyed, but in number 6, we can say far more intelligent. Yes, so there are some intensifiers that we can add, yes, to emphasize the meaning of the adjectives. But be careful that if we talk about the positive degree, like annoyed, we can use very, pretty, most, rather, quite, and fairly. But if we have comparative degree, like more intelligent, we can use a bit, a lot, even, far, much, and rather. So they are different. So you can take a screenshot of that and mind that, because if you have to choose between these, remember that some of them cannot be used in positive degree and vice versa, some of them cannot be used in a comparative degree. Okay, so any questions here? No? Then let's go next. Let me show you the last 3 pictures for today. What about these bikes? Are all bikes expensive? Which costs the most and which costs the least? What do you think about these bikes? We have bike 1, bike 2, and bike 3. Are all these bikes expensive or not? Which one is the most expensive and which one is the least expensive? Any guesses? 3 is the least and 1 is maybe the most expensive. So bike number 2 is more expensive than bike number 3. We know how to use this. Yes, that is a comparative degree. And bike 1 is the most expensive of all bikes. But what can we use in order to describe bike number 3? Yes? How can we say it? We can say that bike 2 is less expensive than bike 1 if we compare them, yes? But bike 3 is the least expensive of all bikes. It means that it is the cheapest, yeah? So you can actually use not only more, but you can say less. You can not only use the most, but surely you can use the least. Yes, the least expensive means the cheapest. You're completely right. So there are some other types of comparison that you may face in your exam. Yes, surely, especially with these little words. For example, as, we can use it in order to do what? In order to describe some similar things. This event is as interesting as that event. We can also use the same as. For example, this exercise is the same as the previous one. I see number 3, a very good variant. So bike number 3 might also be expensive because it looks like it's very ancient. Okay, we can also use less, yes, to tell, for example, something that is less, for example, spicy. Italian food is less spicy than Indian, yes? And also some very useful structure that you may face. These are about when the second situation or the second action or the second thing depends on the first one. Remember that when we have the plus comparative and then we have the plus comparative, it means that the second clause depends on the first one. For example, the sooner we arrive, the better, or the more you study, the more you learn. So very often you may face this structure and you need to know that it's used because these two, the second situation depends on the first one. And also you may use like comparative plus comparative if you want to describe a continual change. For example, the ozone layer is getting thinner and thinner. Yeah, so these two comparatives, thinner and thinner, show that the situation is changing at this very moment. So let's look at some sentences. For example, let's look at sentence number 1 and let's try to transform it. So the meaning is the same, but try to use as. For example, we cannot afford such an expensive holiday. So let's say the same by using as. We can't afford gap that. What do you think? How can we say that? That's right. We cannot afford a holiday as expensive as that. So you see, if you have as, between that you will have an adjective. As expensive as that, as difficult as that, and so on and so forth. Okay, number 2. As we climbed higher, we had more difficulty breathing, and we have harder. So what can we put here? Their gap, it was to breathe. Remember, the plus comparative, the plus comparative. If the second situation depends on the first one. Any guesses? The harder, that's right. The harder we climbed, the higher we climbed, the harder it was to breathe. Yes, you see the second situation, the harder it was to breathe, depends on the first one. And you can show it, these relations, yes, between these two parts, if you use this comparative, the comparative, the comparative. Great. Number 3, the weather was getting worse by the minute, so we decided not to go out. And we have and. The weather was getting, that's right, worse and worse. Yes, so it shows that there was something that was changing. Yes, worse and worse. Great. Number 4, Carl skates better than his brother Alex. We have such. What is so special about this such? What should we put after such? Can we put an adjective, or should there be maybe a noun? Surely there should be a noun. Alex is not such a good skater as his brother Carl. So remember, if you have such, then you should surely have a noun like skater. Alex is not such a good skater as his brother Carl. Okay, number 5. The journey was less tiring than I thought it would be. And we have as. Okay. The journey was less tiring than I thought it would be. And we have as. How can we put it? The journey. That's right. Was not as tiring as I thought it would be. Yes, so less tiring means not as tiring as. Great. A lot of correct answers. And number 6, the last one, it's very easy. Danny's briefcase is similar to yours. So how can we say similar, but with another word? Danny's briefcase is almost the same as yours. Don't skip this as. Okay. So please be careful with that. If any questions, put your questions to the chat. The only thing you should be attentive is with the word order, yes, and try not to skip something very essential in these structures. Let me show you them again, yeah? And let's go next. Okay, guys, I hope we revised. Surely you will have the explanation older and elder. Surely, one moment, I will show it to you. So I hope you meant this explanation, yes? You can take a picture of it. Okay, if ready, then let's go next. Ready? Great. So let's go then next. So, and actually today we're going to talk about writing, yes? Let me go next. So if any other questions, put your answers to the chat. Let me show you all the structures again. So let's go. Writing. So some points to remind you. So surely for your writing, you will have maybe more time, but 30-35 minutes is completely enough because you will have only one task and then you will need to write 150 words. And for this type of task, you might be asked to write either an informal letter or a semi-formal letter or a formal letter. Yes? Today we're going to talk about an informal letter, and usually it's the most common type of task, but the criteria are the same. So anyway, if you have either formal or informal, you will be assessed according to these 7 criteria. The first 3 criteria are devoted to the content of your letter. It means how well you can answer the questions in your task, yes? Criteria number 4, 5 are connected to the structure and to the cohesion and register, yes? So if you're asked to write an informal letter, you should use informal language in your letter, yes, not formal. And criteria number 6 and 7 are devoted to your vocabulary and grammar. So here you are checked according to your, here they check your mistakes, yes, whether you have vocabulary mistakes or grammar mistakes, but also they pay attention to the variety, I would say, of vocabulary and grammar structures that you can use in your letter. So please mind that you need to pay attention to that. Let's talk about some tips that you need to consider while writing your informal letter. Yes, so what I really recommend you to pay attention to, these are structure, content, and language. So when I say structure, I mean that your letter should include these 8, let's say, components, yes? So surely you should start your informal letter with a greeting, but with an informal greeting. So it might be hello. What else might it be? Can it be hi? Yes, it can be hi, yes, or hello. Sometimes it may even be dear, yes, why not? Yeah, that's good. Then after the greeting, you should start your lesson, your letter with some opening remarks. Yeah, that's when you state why you are writing to this person. For example, thank you for your letter. I'm writing you because. Yes, and for these opening remarks, you can actually rely on the task itself. So in your task, you will usually have a small description of a situation why you have received this or that letter. So I suggest that you use this task, you reformulate it. Surely you cannot just simply rewrite that, no, but you can reformulate that and include it into your letter. And this will be a very good opening remarks. So don't forget about opening remarks. In other words, that's a type of introduction to your letter. Okay, then number 3, 4, and 5, this should be main body paragraphs. So remember that you have 3 subtopics, 3 tasks, 3 questions that you need to answer in your letter. So you should start with answering these questions one by one, and it's a good idea to divide them into paragraphs. For example, question number 1, main body, like main paragraph 1, second subtopic, it will be main body paragraph 2, and so on. You can start the first one with to begin with. The next one can be started with also I'd like to tell you that, or whatever. And number 3 might be like, so I'm sure that. So the main point here is you should include all these 3 subtopics. You should answer all 3 questions that they give you in the task. Then, when you're ready with these questions, then you should provide some closing remarks. So it should be a kind of summary, like to sum up. So, thus, in conclusion, and then you put 1 or 2 sentences, yes, there. So a kind of conclusion. And after that, surely you need to provide some friendly ending, like best wishes, regards, maybe something else. Yes, you can learn them, you can find them online. Use one that you like the most. Remember, it should be informal. And number 8, which is very important, you should write down name. For example, best wishes Maria, best wishes Sophia. So it should not be, it cannot be your name, it can be any name, but the point is here, you should include these names. Just write down best wishes friend. No, it's not a good idea. You should write down some name. Okay, what about the content? No, let me show you the next, my slide, yes, and you will see. If we're talking about the content, you should include 3 subtopics. For each subtopic, you should provide at least 2 sentences. These sentences should be complex. So they should not be very short sentences. They should be complex sentences with fully stated ideas. And it's advisable, yes, to provide 2 or 3 paragraphs, at least 2 or 3 paragraphs. So you can devote each paragraph to one subtopic, or you can combine 2 subtopics into 1 paragraph and then provide another paragraph, the second paragraph with another subtopic. But it's advisable to have 2-3 paragraphs. And the main point here is that for each subtopic, you need to provide at least 2 complex sentences, at least, yes? Okay, if we talk about the language of informal letter, surely you need to use every day like colloquial expressions, vocabulary, and idioms. So it's a good idea to choose one idiom in your letter, like any idiom that you can remember or that suits your context. So it will be like a plus to your mark, yes? That will be really a good idea. Then in informal letters, you can use contractions like he's got, I'll be, they aren't. So you should use them, yes? So it's a kind of requirement. So use contractions. You know how to use them, so use them. Also, for informal letters, it's a good idea to use phrasal verbs. So just try to learn by heart some phrasal verbs and try to use them in your letter. Again, it will be like a plus, a big plus, like to your mark, because they assess it. Yes, phrasal verbs are considered to be informal vocabulary, so it's a very good choice to use them in your informal letter. Then use linking words, but informal ones like but, so, also, like they are informal, like nevertheless, it's more about formal style, for example, but or however are very good examples for informal letter. Then you can use direct questions like, what do you think? Do you agree? Like some questions, yes, in order to provoke interest or whatever. These are also good examples for informal letters. And of course, in informal letters, you can use exclamations. Yes, it'll be great or whatever if you are talking about some events or if you are telling your friends about something. So mind, please, the structure. Yes, make sure that you include all these components. Mind about the content. Yes, remember that you have to include all 3 subtopics, and for each subtopics you need to provide at least 2 sentences, at least. You can surely provide more, but surely if you provide 2, that will be enough, but they should be complex sentences. And mind the language. Choose an idiom that you like. You can learn that now, yes, and choose the phrasal verbs that you can remember and use them in your letter. Okay, and let's look at some examples. So what's the strategy? How to write this informal letter? So first, you need to read the task. Yes, surely read the task. Then write notes to the task, expand your notes, and proofread your letter. Proofread means to check for mistakes. So if you read the task, what is important in the task? What do you think? What is the most important in the task? My favorite idiom, break a leg, maybe miss the boat, like to be too late. Miss the boat sounds very funny, I suppose. Okay. Yes, to understand the task, What else? What can you use? In each task, you have 3 subtopics, 3 questions, like you see on your screen, yeah? So in this example, we have write a letter to your friend in which you say whether you know anything about this holiday, what holidays are widely celebrated in Ukraine, and which holiday you like the most and why. So you need to include information about each of these questions. Yes, so if you don't include, you will lose some points. So you basically need to answer 3 these questions. So it means that you can either write 1 paragraph for each of these questions, or you can combine some of these subtopics into 1 paragraph, yeah? Then you need to write notes to your task. So how it can be done, yeah? For example, you have question number 1, whether you know anything about this holiday. So your notes might be, I know a lot. We also have this holiday. It's widely celebrated. We have concerts, TV show presents. So just like think of some ideas that you can put into this question, yes? Just briefly put it onto your paper, into your draft, yes? Like in order to like think carefully about each question. Then you go to question number 2. What holidays are widely celebrated in Ukraine? Again, take notes. We have Easter, Independence Day, New Year. Let's just briefly put some notes. And number 3, which holiday do you like the most? And we have Christmas because it's fun. There are lots of presents, family and friends gather together, whatever. So these are your notes. And then try to expand these notes. For example, you have this small draft. Try to put these ideas into full complex sentences. It will be easier if you see some ideas and you try to combine them into full sentences. You can read the example from my screen. Yeah, so for example, that is about question number 1. So you see, it's easier when you have a lot of ideas and you put them together, like by thinking about the sentence structure. And then surely you need to proofread your paper. Or what you need to pay attention before writing your letter to the exam paper. Remember that you have a draft and then you can rewrite your letter, the checked one, the proofread one, to the exam paper. So firstly, you need to check the spelling and grammar. Yes, try to check yourself. Then make sure that your letter is logical and it's clear. So make sure the structure is clear and your ideas are logical. Yes. So for example, if you know a very nice idiom or a very nice phrasal word, but this or that doesn't suit your context, it's not logical, so it's better not to write that, yes? Then make sure that you have some linking devices within sentences and paragraphs, like firstly, secondly, to begin with, in addition, lastly, besides, or for contrasting ideas like however, in spite of, despite. So make sure that you have at least 3 or 4 of them. Yes, so you should not put them into every sentence. It's not okay. It will not sound logical. Yeah, but anyway, use at least 3 or 4, especially if you want to organize your ideas. Like firstly, in addition, however, to sum up. Yes, that will be enough, but please make sure that you have them in your letter. And finally, make sure that you have the greeting and the ending with the name. Yeah. Surely you should pay attention to the word count. You are asked to provide 150 words, but please focus more on logic and clarity. Actually, if you include all 3 questions, all 3 subtopics into your letter, it cannot be fewer than 150 words. So if you answer all those questions with at least 2 full complex sentences, that will surely be enough. So of course you should pay attention to the word, to the number of words, but logic and clarity are more important. Okay, and actually that is all about your informal letter. You may try to write something by following this strategy or by following these recommendations. And let me sum up our today's meeting. So let's briefly sum up. Yes or no? Let's go to number 1. Can we use present simple to talk about future? Yes or no? Yes, we can. We know that we have present simple and present continuous. Great. We can use both be going to and future simple to make predictions. Yes or no? Yes, but there is a huge difference, remember? Yes, there is a huge difference. Okay, number 3. Can we use state verbs in all future tenses? No, 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 no. Future continuous, no. Yes, like that's about all continuous tenses. Number 4, can a person be amazing by an amazed performance? No, it can be vice versa. So a person can be amazed by an amazed performance. Great. And number 5, should we use the prefix L if the word starts with L? Yes, like illogical, illegal. Yes, I hope you know a lot of examples. Okay, thank you a lot for your participation, for your answers. As you may see in your chat, you see the link to our Telegram channel, so feel free to join. Yes, all words are counted. Thank you a lot. Thank you. See you next time. Have a good time. Goodbye.